So my name is Julia, and next to me is the most amazing woman, is Inga Falkevik. She's a wool producer on the west coast of Norway, where we are located, in Stad Kommune. So basically, I have to elaborate a little bit on our story because it has been a whirlwind for us. We have been living in the United States for the past 5 years, and we are now 11 months here on an island, which is in Björn's family for more than 400 years. So there's a strong connection. There is already a heritage, and that kind of heritage should also be infused in the idea of a living heritage, to continue the past, to bring it into the present and into the future. And for us, the answer is clearly art or Kunst, which Björn said our motto, our ethos. And so the past 11 months, it has been, taken us by storm. So lots of things have happened actually where we picked up on, and a project called Toolkit has been explored in that sense. That is the appreciation of the local craftsmanship. And it's not just knitting, because Toolkit means knitted, but it's also knitting people together. So I'm a fashion designer. I have a strong fashion background. I was a professor of fashion in the States. And I want to use that expertise to bring international audience, international creatives, combined with the local artisans, and then celebrate the love of creation. And we will have a wonderful opportunity to do that. And this is how Inga came into play, because she saw that project and she reached out because she's a local wool manufacturer. We will see a little film later. And this is how our connection started. But with regards to the Living Heritage Toolkit, I would like to present a little style file. And it's basically a little process or a sketchbook in that sense. So I'm going to share my screen. And then, sorry, 1 second. Just need to find the right, oh, where is my file gone? I can't see it. I'm sorry. It's the usual madness. Let me just minimize them. There we are. Okay. So Living Heritage Toolkit, so it is basically the mood board just to explain where we come from and what was the actual inspiration. So of course, the place of action is the Rovaniemi Museum, and therefore that had to be included, of course, in the collage. And then there's also the idea of a working man's clothes. And I think the boiler suit idea came into play, that could be a really interesting garment to look at because it's very functional. It is protective. So therefore, but it also should look androgynous. It should be something that, it should be gender fluid. Men, women, should just be able to wear it comfortably. And then there was this incredible piece of garment. There was this particular coat with a very nice woven shawl border, which I was very interested in. And the idea was actually to make this garment out of a woven fabric. And then you can see here, it's kind of a deer skin and, or is it a deer? Yeah, it is a deer. It's not an elk. I would think it's an elk. It's a reindeer. Yeah, so for that, I thought we would be able to create some sort of really interesting woven fabric that kind of reminiscent of that beautiful reindeer skin. But things changed. So let me walk you through this process a little bit. So there was also this wonderful picture, I think Mary actually put together, and Javier discovered that picture, or I'm not entirely sure how it came out, but it's that working man's, clothes, and how he, is walking through that, quite harsh landscape in the winter. So I think this is quite a defining picture, inspirational. And then we started to look into what does a boiler suit actually mean and what do we want it to be. So definitely androgynous, in a way genderless, and it should be highly functional because obviously, you know, boiler suit is all about function, protection. There was the idea of a hoodie, which is still on the go. Should it be attached? What kind of fastening, especially the pockets. So the pockets have become a very important thing. You will see it later on, to have these oversized pockets. Then how to style it. I mean, Doc Martens is a very obvious choice, so I wasn't very happy with. But also in Norway, there's something really interesting. The boiler suit is very much in the fabric of the young, because before they graduate from upper secondary school, everybody's kind of having this boiler suit where they, you know, mend and really put their stamp on. It's kind of a stylized version of themselves. So it's all red boiler suit, and then they kind of make it their own, and then they walk around for I think 2 to 3 months, something like that. It's called rus, and they're having fun. So this is quite a nice parallel to a Norwegian tradition that is inevitably already inherent in a young generation. Also, the idea of why a Japanese politician would want to wear a boiler suit is in a way to have a sense of preparedness. And I think this kind of democratized society to be ready to help out, and it's not on a Marnie suit, is obviously certainly very appealing. So I started off with collaging, but the collages you see here, this is like a hand collage in that sense that I got all the pictures taken from the garments from the archive of the museum, and I started to print them out and cut them up. So I did some hand collages. And then I also used a digital Photoshop version, you know, to cut the pieces to create some sort of really interesting silhouettes. And these are just some ideas. I mean, it's a much larger style file, but we enjoyed the very first silhouette very much. And this is the silhouette I wanted to base on the actual pattern development. The idea of the tassels also came from that very beginning outfit of that wonderful coat, and that could be really something that could also be looked into, but I feel like a different craftsperson should be involved to really bring this, you know, to light and kind of put their personal spin on that. So I did some pattern development, and this was the very first rather oversized prototype, which was a little bit, you know, too voluminous. But, you know, I wanted to incorporate where the functionality that, you know, it's very oversized, but you have the opportunity through, you know, the tassels and the strings to kind of alter the shape of it, to alter the silhouette, and of course, make it more fitted. However, after a longer process, the more design development, because we weren't very happy with the shape yet. And then the idea came with strikket, which is about that knitted opportunity. And this is then where Inga comes in. So the idea was, instead of making a woven fabric, to actually knit and then felt, and then in a way you have also a fabric that has all the incredible natural protective facilities. So I think that is really even more exciting when you have a felted fabric in a way. So the idea of when you see kind of the style line, it's basically derived from the shawl, how that shawl collar would kind of wrap around your body. And this is where that style line came from. And then it turns into these really big pockets. And the coloring was just my coloring madness, how I started off with, because that is no relation of the natural colors of the beautiful wool Inga has to offer. So this is a much more realistic collage. That pattern you see here, you will see in a second, it comes from an old glove that is also in the archive of the museum. And Inga actually reinterpreted that pattern design. And then at the beginning, the idea was to maybe use some sort of rock carving idea to knit into that, especially the trouser part, but that didn't really happen. More this here, you can see that is the actual prototype now, how it should look like with the big pockets. So we tried it on a man and a lady, how it looks like. So that is basically the prototype or the canvas to which the fabric would be cut accordingly. I also generated a 3D model using a 3D software. It's basically a fashion design, apparel design software, which is really helpful in the process to also illustrate how this could look actually on the body before you create an actual prototype. So this is obviously without the real fabric. This is a jersey, like a jersey to imitate how a felted fabric could fall or could look like. So this could be very elaborated and continue to put in the real fabric with the correct maps, so it really looks like how it would look in the real world. So this is something I would like to do, and then you can also animate and let the person walk. So this is the pattern of the glove, which we then reinterpreted, or actually Inga took it by storm and actually made her own version. And this is the magic. So this is Inga's wool. And I would love for you to, talk more about that, because I think this is really where all the magic lies, and how, especially the colors as well. You're ready. It's your turn.
Wow. This is the wool from my sheep, natural colors and plant-dyed colors. The sheep I have, it's called Old Norwegian Spelsau. It's a short-tailed sheep, many colors, all from white to the black. Different browns and grays colors. The special with the wool from this sheep, it's two layers, it's called. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They have a short wool close to the skin, which is becoming the yarn hair, and the longer wool, it's leading the rain away from the body in the wintertime, for instance. It's often a lot of rain. The usual Norwegian white sheep doesn't have that kind of wool. So that's the difference. The plants I'm using, it's local plants, except from the red you can see there. That's what I buy from a shop. Anything else?
I think that's a good introduction for now, because we have a little bit more, because you obviously will have a lot of action. So something very, very appealing was those special symbols that actually you probably know much more about, because it's a very common thing to have a symbol for each family in that way, for a house. And we were really, really excited about that symbol in particular, and to have that understanding that it actually, helps against bad luck and evil spirit. So we wanted to use that symbol in the pattern. So I started to develop, I also really like that bottom of, I can't remember what that was, that bowl, but I think that, kind of flower, which also reoccurred in that wood print, which is just very exciting. And I just started, to render that and illustrate it to, see what one can do with those symbols. And then I played around with various repeat pattern options for a potential knit pattern. I was quite happy with this one. And then I had the lovely Inga, who ran with it and made her own sample, which is just really fantastic. And here you can see the natural colors and her own pattern. And the same here, I think it's really gorgeous, this kind of burnt orange and the brown. And then, so you can talk a little bit more about that, because it basically was insane. This is just for one leg. So maybe
It's a big work.
Yeah.
But it's very fun to knit. I did it in two or three pieces because it was so heavy to sit and knit it. So I could use it as a dress as well.
Yes, I think you should. I think it actually.
I have to make another one for myself.
Yes. Yeah. So basically, I don't know, how long did it take you, Inga, to knit one leg?
When I knitted, we thought I had another date that it had to be finished. So I knitted, deadline. I knitted one report every day.
Oh my God. Okay.
Mostly.
Besides looking after your
sheep
yeah. And everything else. So after that, once it was knitted, then it was felted, and it shrank pretty insanely, especially the big one, but we made it work. But I think those, colors looked absolutely stunning. So this is the whole, you will see there were many. I think you had 4 ladies involved in the knit. Yes. Mm-hmm. So there were 4 knitters to knit certain parts that will be felted, because it was so much work and so much wool to be used. And then these are basically the final color choices, as you can see here. So the lovely, which color is that dye, that burnt orange?
It is krap. I don't know the English name of it.
Krap, okay.
Yeah.
Is that something in Norway?
No, Mediterranean. Okay. It's a root, the root of a plant.
The root of a plant.
Yeah.
Okay. And the green?
That's the lav. Den som växer på
stein?
Nej, på furu och gran.
Oh, it's a moss that grows on trees.
Yeah.
So that's a kind of a moss.
Yeah.
And then did you also the salmon color? Is it the same?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
It's just not that
intense. The second dyeing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So these then were the final color choices, and then these were basically my knit instructions. Knit like a massive rectangle. That was basically it. Obviously, we had to calculate the shrinkage, but it didn't fully work out. And then we also collaborated with a local weaving artist, and she also used Norwegian spelsau, which is that particular sheep. And she created that kind of shawl, if you will, that inevitably comes from the very beginning garment I was talking about. And that was just the fitting to kind of visualize a little bit how this all could look like. And then I started the process. So this I had to felt only ever so slightly, because it just wasn't enough knit. So I only felt it that a little bit. Whereas everything else was knitted, felted quite heavily. We also, in the studio, we created our own logo. It's LHT for Living Heritage Toolkit. It was embroidered in Selje in Norway. And this is kind of the whole thing, as you can see, with these very big pockets, extremely, you're pretty much prepared for the Arctic now. So you cannot wear this like more than 5 minutes because you boil.
A true boiler suit.
It is a true boiler suit. Yeah. And then we did a photo shoot, including basically a young local man, which I think has really great model potential. So we went into a local forest here, and then had that wonderful picture taken, and that was taken by Björn, and he also was the retoucher afterwards. So I think the outcome is pretty amazing from my point of view. Again, it's still a prototype. So I also would like to quickly stop sharing, but I can show you also the video we made from our lovely Inga. It's really nice to be here with Inga Falkevik, who is a sheep farmer in Nordfjord. And I would like to learn a bit more about the process of being a sheep farmer, about her life and lifestyle.
Yes, thank you. It's nice to have you here. I am living here on this small farm. I have been running it for 20 years now. 40 sheep, a sheep race called Old Norwegian Spel, short-tailed sheep. They have a long story back to the Vikings. The wools are in different colors. white, gray, brown, black, and different shades of these colors. My main production these days are the wool.
And can you tell us more about the process of how to get the wool and actually to a finished product, including the dyeing of it?
We shear the wool twice a year, in March and in September. The wool from September is what we make the yarn of. Sending it to a mini mill in Trøndelag. When we get the wool back from the spinnery, we have the nature colors. The white, the gray, and the black, brown. I can make colors from the plants I find in the area here, mostly yellow, and I can also make green. If I want to make red and blue, I have to buy some plants from the Mediterranean, for instance.
There will be a shop opening soon, so could you tell us a little bit more about that?
It's a small farm shop selling products from the sheep and other things we are making here on the farm. The yarn is the head thing, also fur or yeah. And we have a little bit of honey and some wood for fire.
Ready? Ready? Ready, baby?